Hi, welcome to another BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything. We're joined by the voice of the BKFC, Mr. Live Worldwide, Jeff Houston.
I was wondering about that intro that you were going after there. Just for a second, I was like, is he thinking about going to Mrs.? Because there is only one Mr. Live Worldwide, and you're talking to him right now.
I was tempted to do the hello, hello, but I mean, I'm sure you have that trademarked, right?
Yes, and it would cost you, well, we'd have to talk about it once the interview is over.
Okay, so that was actually one of the questions that somebody on the Reddit wanted to know. Like, did you have to trademark? Your key catchphrases and stuff? Do you trademark those or?
Let me tell you something as a professional. I cannot personally stand catchphrases for the most part because that's how ring announcers are now defined. It's catchphrases. It's usually the first thing that's asked when you tell somebody what you do. Like I say, I'm a ring announcer. Oh, what's your catchphrase? Because that's automatically the go to. For me, I have a much longer and more complex answer for them that they probably roll their eyes at while I'm actually telling it to them, but I'm going to tell it to them nonetheless. My overall body of work is so much more important to me than any catchphrase. How I do from moment one to moment done, in my opinion, is what makes a solid ring announcer. But in these days, you do have to cater to the times, and the times say that every now and then a catchphrase is good. So for the hello, 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 yes, that does currently have a federal trademark.
That's really interesting because like I mean like you said you are so much more than those three words, but then again you see you, that's immediately, if you're a BKFC fan, you see you, hello, hello, hello.
Whether you want to or not. The good thing is that I know people are getting out of their seats for my reactions as well as the fighting, and if I could even get a little bit of what the fighters get as far as reactions go, man, not only I've done my job, I go home happy.
BKFC is really starting to blow up. I know you do a lot of other organizations also. Are you starting to get recognized more and more now?
Yes, but in I dressed a certain way today because this is the way that I am never recognized is when I'm in airport mode. Most people in airport mode, unless they have a very distinctive look, don't get pulled over for anything. Now, I'm not saying that I want to or I don't want to. All I'm saying is that when the hat goes on, the eyeglasses go on, and the zip up is on the plane, I'm Clark Kent, baby.
Are you one of those guys that likes to travel a lot, or are you like, I mean, I assume you fly all over the world. Do you enjoy the traveling, or is it starting to kind of get old after a while?
They wouldn't call me Mr. Live Worldwide if I only did shows in the States now, would they? Come on now. No, no, it's I have so many successful travel hacks, I put it out of my mind. And I think that that's the key to long-term travel and long-distance travel all across the world. I think it's just finding proper flight hacks that make that unbearable time, which human beings are not meant to spend this much time on a plane. But with the proper travel hacks, eventually they just kind of blend together as far as flying miles. Flying within the country is nothing. I mean, your work for me, located in Texas, 3 to 4 hours at absolute max because of where I'm centrally located. Now,
Sure.
outside of that, yes, you have to employ more travel hacks. Absolutely.
Okay, so my wife, she met you and enjoys you. She would like to know if there anything that you do to condition your voice or anything you could do. So, like, I mean, you hear Brian Sosha the next day and he's super raspy. I've heard you in the airport before talking, and you've never been raspy. How do you condition your voice so you always sound perfect?
Well, a lot of it comes out to how long I've been doing it. I have to look at the fact that I've been doing this for this April will be 22 years that I've
Wow.
been on the mic. So with all that time, you go through the motions. Excuse me for saying so about BS treatments that so many people have when it comes to their voice. Some of the most ridiculous BS that I've seen that I've heard from people when it comes to some of these recovery modes. And then I start thinking, if you have to go and look for that many recovery modes when it comes to your throat, either two things are happening. Number one, you're working too much. Number two, you're not taking your care of your voice consistently enough to depend on one way to do it. I mean that's how I see it. Very, very little afterwards. I hate tea.
Okay.
I absolutely hate tea, so I don't drink any pre-tea, post-tea, tea with the queen, doesn't matter. I mean, well, that can't happen anymore. I guess it would be tea with His Royal Highness, but but for me, a little Manuka honey every now and then. I like a certain lozenge that I use that really helps me through. One thing that you notice when you're getting older, so is your voice. So
Sure.
you got to take care of it both ways.
At what age did you say I want to be the voice of, I want to announce? I mean, early on, did you evolve into it? Did you do other stuff like, commentary or?
There is no evolution in this process, good sir. This was an interesting way of coming up. Never had a dream for it, never had aspirations for it, but appreciated the hell out of the promotion because when you watch the right people do it, the ones that were born to do this, there's like a glow that happens, sort of the glow that you're seeing right now. I just threw that out for effect. That's so cheesy. um, no, I got inspired, but I never, really saw myself doing it in my formative years and my childhood years. It was one of those things that I just stumbled across when I was just about to turn 25. I happened to see an independent wrestling promotion on a cable station, and I was like, I never knew this existed here in San Antonio. That's the damnedest thing. And I was listening to the ring announcer, and he was terrible. He was just, wow. And I was just saying, I've never done a day in my life, but I bet I could do it better than that. So that just kind of got the ball rolling. And after getting my butt kicked for I don't know how many years on the indies when it came to pro wrestling, those who want to do this for a living do have an evolution, but it's not the kind of evolution that anybody else in an interview can explain. It's a completely different process with a ring announcer because we have no way of becoming better without practice. There is no ring announcing school. There is no ring announcing course. I mean, I'd love to get one going, but I think I'd annoy the hell out of the people who are paying to hear from me. So eventually repeat business may not work for me.
Sean Wheelock sent in a question. He said that you love pro wrestling. It's probably like your greatest passion. Can you talk about that? Like growing up, like I love pro wrestling growing up. I kind of fell out of it a little bit now that I found BKFC, but do you still love pro wrestling?
Wow. I try not to put nostalgia in the front seat with me when I'm talking about things that I like.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, with the way that the project is going for this generation, I'm sorry, nostalgia's got to be right here next to me and talking to me about the good old times, talking to me about how worried I was about what's his name, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after he got DDT'd on the concrete for Jake the Snake Roberts' first match in the WWE. I mean, how did I feel when I saw Greg the Hammer Valentine and Roddy Piper in the greatest dog collar match in the history, which happened to be my very, very first pay-per-view that I ever saw when I was a kid. It was Starrcade 83. That was the very, very first pay-per-view that I ever saw as a kid. I was just about to be 6 years old. And I was like, wow, this is just blew my mind and such. So it's been very important to me, but it's not as important to me as of right now. And a big reason is that not because WWE and wrestling has done this paradigm shift to where it works over here. It's because BKFC is just so damn interesting. It's just so fascinating. I mean, not only do I do what I do, but nobody's a bigger fan of BKFC than David Feldman, and everybody will be. But I'm a close second.
That's one thing. Like I did MMA when I was younger and the wrestling and all that. And BKFC just has drawn me in so much. It's just so much more entertaining than all the other combat stuff. Besides doing BKFC, though, I know you do. You announce some other MMA. Like, do you still do some wrestling shows? Like, what kind of commentary do you, or not commentary? What kind of announcing do you still do?
I appreciate the correction in mid-sentence because I can't stand when the WWE calls their commentators announcers. I'm like, you're commentators. There is a very, very big difference there's a huge difference, continental divide between what is expected for us on this job and that job. But, man, oh man, Remind me of the question one more time, sir. It's been a trying day for me today.
Outside of BKFC, who else do you?
Yes. That's right. Um, it's been a while since I've worked very closely with another promotion because I've just been so dedicated to BKFC, and for good reason, because it ended up becoming the fastest growing combat sport I've ever been a part of. But outside of that, I have done things with multiple promotions, but I'm a victim of a lot of one and dones back in the
Okay.
day. Like I'd worked for so many promotions. I think in MMA overall, I've worked for about, I don't know, 50 or 60 maybe MMA promotions and boxing promotions over that. And I'd probably say about 10 of them, probably less, exist still to this day. That's just the way it was back then. It was easy to do a one and done show, especially in Texas. Um, but outside of that, I've done, jeez, man, I've done a lot. It's it's a long career to look back on as far as that. But outside of BKFC, I think my favorite shows were with Road FC out of South Korea.
Okay.
I was working very closely with them for years and years, and they've just been having financial setbacks, and it took them forever to get past COVID. The South Korean government restrictions were insane. So, I mean, as they should have been. So, I haven't been back with them in about 5 years. And then my other promotion that I really like to work, that I made a lot of good friends and I saw really a lot of cool places, was ACA out of Russia.
Oh wow.
I mean, they're fantastic, in my opinion, one of the top MMA organizations out there as far as how they treat the fighters and how they love the sport without all of the, the glitz and the glamour. I'm the only glitz and glamour that they'd ever bring in. Everything else was very, very to the book MMA.
On the Reddit, there was one consensus number one question that people wanted me to ask about. I'm assuming you know what it involves. It involves a vertical bow tie. Where did that become a fashion statement for yourself?
I appreciate the consensus out there for everybody who sent that in, because I love talking about that. I love talking about anything, regardless of whether it's this or that. But I love talking about the vertical bow tie, because the way that I found that was just, it was like it was meant to happen. I had always looked to find a different kind of statement when it came to my cosmetics as a ring announcer. I really, really wanted to push the envelope and start getting different. I started getting really encouraged to do that when I was over with Road FC in South Korea. Because when you're over there, the fashion statements that you see just in the general public in Korea are ridiculous. People are so ahead of the fashion curve and do not care. The louder, the better.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of fell into that. A lot of people thought that I always tried to copy Bruce Buffer, tried to copy them. I'm like, I want to make that abundantly clear with you that has never been my intention. That has never been my intention, with the exception of one time. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but what I am going to talk about is it was important for me to find a look that was mine and didn't belong to anybody else's. And I had been doing metal ties for the longest time. I would do steel bow ties, 3D printed bow ties, and people love those. But then I came across, on accident, just going through Etsy, this Lithuanian woman who was making these bow ties and turning them the other way. And I thought to myself, nobody's going to do that in my profession. I was like, nobody's going to do that. I am going to own the rights to that. And that's what I'm all about. I love trend-setting beginnings to things. BKFC was a trend set. A lot of people didn't think it was going to work. Now we're trending worldwide. So I look at something that different and I say to myself, I'm going to love that so much, because it's going to be mine. It's not going to be anybody else's. I have my own identity as a ring announcer. And don't get me wrong, man. I thank anybody who says you're better than Bruce Buffer, you're the next Bruce Buffer, and I always thank them. I don't crap on their compliment. But what I do say is, I appreciate the compliment. But if it were my decision, I'd rather be the first Jeff Houston than the next anybody.
Let me ask you this. So starting out, like, How did you come up with your unique cadence? Because it's so hard to, you don't want to copy people. And it's hard with the podcast stuff because I've had other podcasts go like, oh, I asked so and so this question, and then you ask a very similar. So I've stopped watching the majority of podcasts because like there's only so many
Good
questions you
idea.
can ask people. Yeah. So just trying to like be your own person. How did you come up with your unique style so you didn't copy anybody?
Oh, do you know how easy it is to emulate someone and not even know it?
Absolutely.
It's so easy to do that. And when you have a televised audience watching, everything is left to criticism. Everything. It doesn't matter how minute. Somebody is going to nail you for something. And even if you didn't do anything, they're still going to go ahead and try to find a smoking gun on you somehow. So, I mean, I don't care about that. I could give two craps about that. I mean, when you're talking about me getting any kind of criticism from anybody else, number one, they've never done it a day in their life.
Right.
Okay. So I don't have to worry about that. It's not exactly like I'm getting critiqued from, I'm not getting direct critique from any of the big names. I just don't like to mention other names and everything like that because if I start mentioning names, people are going to think that, you're inspired by this person, inspired by that person, whatever. I've always been about admiring someone, what they do, but inspired to be like this person.
Sure.
Dude, that never crossed my mind. That never crossed my mind. It was always about leaving my mark as me. And I know that that wasn't exactly the train of thought that we were on, but as you will find out with more interviews with me, I go off that track all the time.
Are you a competitive person? Because that will lead into this next question.
I am trying to lay off the profanity as much as I possibly can, but I'm going to say it in this instance. Fuck yes, I am a competitive person. Fuck
Okay.
yeah, I am. You have to be. You have to be when you have something as precious as BKFC is. As something that the upward trajectory that this has. And I have something for the fans that they're going to appreciate because I wrote this down because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to commit it to memory just now for this one, but it will be committed to, and I promise you that. This is how I have 5 simple words to describe the overall BKFC experience: purity, brutality, simplicity, proximity, and electricity.
You can't say it better than that.
That's it. That's just all it is. It is so engineered for maximum entertainment. I mean, look what we did, and oh my God, it happened on my birthday, December 6th this year, BKFC Atlanta. What a great day for that to happen on my birthday, to be there at the fastest knockout in combat sports history, 2.9 seconds. Whew. You tell me so many other sports that you can acquire a knockout that quickly, because as we all know, it's that 3 feet of distance. When they toe the line, that is what makes the definitive puncher's chance right there. You know the old adage, they've always got the puncher's chance. That has never been more true in the history of combat sports than bare knuckle, because I have seen the absolute underdogs, the last minute replacements, the ones that, if you looked at it from the betting odds, there's no way this guy's going to have a plus on anything. There just isn't no way. And they end up not only winning, but they end up making history. They end up making history and setting the bar for all the other. Now the UFC has to contend with a 2.9 second knockout. I think that's going to be pretty tough for anybody to beat.
Sure. One of my favorite things about that Georgia show was you had a live mic, so you could hear you in the back. You're like, "Holy shit!" You know what I mean? Have you watched it back? Because, like I said, they caught you on audio a couple times during that crazy knockout, and you were so hyped up. You could tell that you were like you just saw something so phenomenal.
Are you talking about when I was in the ring, or are you talking about that picked up on audio?
It picked up on audio.
Ooh, man. But you know what? I'm not surprised because I know how loud I am. Okay. I am a naturally loud person. I have been told my entire life, please keep your voice down. I feel like I am in an infinite library. Like my entire life is inside this library I can't get out because eventually there's going to be someone around this corner, in this country, in this city, at this arena. Can you please keep your voice down? In fact, that should be my nickname. Jeff, can you please keep your voice down, Houston? It's too fucking long. It's too long. I can't work with that.
It's too much. Okay, so getting back to that competitive thing, Cyrus Fee sent in a question. He said, which of you is a better pickleball player? And he wants to know when you and him are going to team up and start taking out people when you guys go on the road.
I thought that you were going to go ahead and throw that curveball right there, Cyrus. And that curveball is in the form of a very tough serve that Cyrus Fees does possess. He does possess quite an impressive serve. So, with that being said, obviously we know who is the better pickleball player now. Now, I'm not going to say the better pickleball player overall. As you said, you can see that I'm a competitive person, so best pickleball player now. But the two of us together, oh, forget about it. Forget about the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon coming at you.
Yeah, he was talking. He's like, I want to team up with Jeff. And he goes, and I just want to go start destroying people at these pickleball tournaments. And I said, that sounds awesome.
Cyrus, I'm going to go ahead and try my best to look at the camera for a second. Cyrus, if you got the time, I got the paddle. So you got to go ahead and reach out, make it happen.
Your suits, do you have a suit maker you like to use? Do you just you find something you like? Like, where did the suits come from?
And in answer to your question, the first part of your question, which ones do I like best? I have them now. I have them now, and I couldn't be happier about it because I found the quintessential look that I have been aspiring to keep consistent for a very long time. I have finally found them. Moshi Kent, London, England. I came across these guys, and it was love at first sight. I always thought that that was going to be someone of the feminine persuasion, but unfortunately, you only get one at that with the love at first sight, and it happened to be suits for me, which just shows how messed up my life is. No, I'm kidding. But the originality of the designs, this is really original stuff that I've seen. I mean, I don't see anybody else trying this kind of style. Of course, once again, I'm sure that there's got to be some fans out there say, oh, he's just trying to copy his style. I'm like, nope. If it happens to run parallel at times with others, I'm prepared for that because sometimes it does. Sometimes somebody else could have a similar, look to them for that show. But these guys just, they took chances. They took fashion chances and took traditional looks and did a 180 with them. I love that because I love questioning the traditional when it comes to fashion. When it comes to these things, I'm like, why does it have to be that way? Why can't the tie go the other way? Why can't we get some bling out on the shoulder? Why can't the lapels be a different shape? It's those things, and I just beating my head senseless about it because it feels like that's what my life is right now, just looking up the next fashion loophole that I happen to find.
Are you one of those guys who never wears the same suit twice? Do you love a suit so you'll wear it on more than one occasion, or?
I love that you answer me that because that just shows how good my rotation is. That just shows how good my rotation is. But then again, if everybody's paying specific attention to what I'm wearing when it comes to a BKFC event, you got to get yourself a little extra time to watch the pre-show because it's not that important. I know that it's an addition to the show, but I love to a good solid rotate. I'll always look at what I wore at one show and I'm like, can I wait 3 shows? Yes, I can. Can I do? Yes, I can. But with this new collaboration with me and Moshi Kent, you're going to be seeing many more new styles, many more. I mean, what I've done before, whew, this is like next level stuff. This is evolution right here, baby. But I'll always keep it tasteful for the fans and for BKFC.
Is there any talks of having a Jeff Houston line of suits from this Moshi?
That's wow. The thing is that this is only the second suit that they're working on me as of right now. So I guess that we haven't really established that kind of professional relationship yet. That's going to take a little time because they're going to have to see with what I put out there as opposed to what they're giving me when it comes to suits and when it comes to my outreach for their product, because that does take time to do and such. So we're working on that. I definitely foresee it in the future, but it's going to be a little while before that happens because I really want to make a solid collaboration and business relationship with Moshi Kent. I truly do.
Did you discover them when you were over there at the Newcastle show, or like how did you discover them?
No, it was an accident. It's amazing when you have you're not doing anything on one day and you just decide to BS around on Google. I mean, that's really where I find the majority of my stuff. I mean, it's never anything that I see. It's just a random thing that I come across. I'm like, I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting pretty close to a new suit, and then I start looking in avenues that I guess others don't. That others don't. That's why that's how I found the ties on Etsy, and I was surprised about that because how did I know that I was going to find a defining look for my career on Etsy?
What is a typical day for Mr. Live Worldwide when you're not getting ready to do a BKFC? I mean, you hang out at the house, video games, you study, upcoming events. Like what do you do during the day on a typical day when you're not working?
Well, I mean, I'm not a crazy party hardy guy. I'm 47 years old now, so I've understood that this is how it works. If I lived in somewhere that were a little bit more party hardy, maybe like Las Vegas or somewhere to where if you're not partying and even if you're a local, something's wrong. So I love my time out of my we have a very, very private house just outside of San Antonio, and it's down a private road and it's just very, very quiet. And after being around thousands and thousands of screaming fans and airports and hotels, and no matter what airport you go to, there's always going to be an inconsolable child crying unneedlessly because the parents are not paying attention to their inconsolable child. But that's a whole other psychiatrist visit later.
Okay, so this question comes from Papa G, and I guess it's a two-parter. He would like to know: do you have a favorite fighter to introduce, and what is your favorite show that you've done the ring announcing for?
As far as BKFC,
I mean, if you had like a favorite one in Russia. I mean, he just wanted to know like your favorite, like your favorite show that you've ever got to announce.
Well, when it comes to the fighters, the first part about that, my favorite fighter is all of them, every single one of them, because they are doing what the most of us can't do. The most of us do not have the sack to toe the line. Now, I put out on Instagram the other day, I said maybe in my 20s, I may have toed the line, and I was very sparingly using that maybe. Because after witnessing damn near 1,000, I think I'm almost there. Damn near 1,000 bare knuckle fights. You realize who the true badasses are. You realize who the true champions are. But as far as a fighter that I truly like to watch, as of right now, I've got two of them. I take that back. I got a three-way tie on that. I got my man King Kai Stewart, our featherweight champion, two solid title defenses, and his, I guess you could say, his stock is rising rapidly. Another one is going to be my boy Julian Let Me Bang Lane. As far as I'm concerned, one of the most entertaining fighters, win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens in the squared circle. I love watching him fight. I just absolutely love it. And last but certainly not least, it would definitely be our greatest woman of all time, Gwot, our current flyweight champion and the greatest woman to ever toe the line, Christine Misfit Faria. Christine knows and has known what bare knuckle is all about. She truly knows what bare knuckle is about. She trains like Floyd Mayweather. And she fights like he does when he was an offensive fighter.
I love
Oh,
Misfit. She's so
oh,
difficult to talk to when she's in camp. She's mean. Outside
oh,
of camp,
I
she's
don't. I,
fantastic.
I don't. I don't. I've learned that um, the closest I ever got to having a conversation to where she was receptive was when we were in Spain. Is when we were in Spain because gosh, we got the Rasha crew took such incredible care of us over
Awesome.
in Spain. And it was a very relaxed situation. So I was able to talk to Christine, even though that she wasn't on the card, even though that she wasn't on the card, she was still there. And sometimes she still has this training mindset that even when she's chilling, she's still thinking about the next move, that next chess piece. Where's that going to go? Who's going to be my next either opponent or victim? That's where we're at. That's where we're at with Christine right now. But let me take nothing away from Christine Wiesens. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For someone who is only 3-0 going in there, knowing that this is the challenge of her life and showing the heart that she had, just damn.
No, for me that was the top two women fights ever. I mean, you got the Taylor versus Segala, which was up there and amazing. But yeah, that fight
Hey,
was
don't
so
forget
great.
about Christine and Helen Peralta.
Oh, absolutely. That's a fight I would love to see ran back in BKFC too. We'll see if we ever get that or not.
Yeah, I'm don't cross your fingers on that one because it's trust me, it's one person wants to and the other I don't know, and on our side who wants to.
Right. Okay, so this question came from Jono Jaws. He sent it into the Reddit. He said, "Have you ever been to Australia, and do you look forward to BKFC coming to Australia?"
Yes, I have. I love Australia. I love my friends down under. I've been fortunate enough to have been to I've been to Sydney, but the last time I was there I was in Brisbane. I was in Beck Rawlings neighborhood. I was in Brisbane, and I just I love the people. I love the flow, and I love the fact that I stay within the cities in Australia, so I am not killed by every kind of serpent and insect and shark and lizard that is designed to kill people. So I'm not trying to say anything against Australia about that, but it's the truth. There's some dangerous stuff over there. But as far as the fights go, can't wait for BKFC Australia. I can't wait to toe the line down under. That's going to be so awesome.
Are you an animal person? Like I work with alligators in my day job, so like, I could teach you to come catch alligators with me. We could play with some alligators together.
The average person would probably say that's probably not in my wheelhouse, but because I'm slightly out of my mind, I would definitely have no problem with doing that, actually. But yeah, I mean, I'm a zoo nut. I'm an aquarium nut.
Okay.
I actually did a lot of great white shark cage diving all over the world before I was a ring announcer, and I have been to every major great white shark location on the planet that was,
Wow.
worth going to. So for the longest time before, this was about 2 to 3 years before I started ring announcing. Excuse me on that. Oh my goodness. Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar sometimes gives you the burp, so I apologize for that. Um, what happened is that this bombarded me in such an awesome way because I've always been a shark enthusiast. So I always said to myself, this is something that I'm going to do. And I got invited on my first time to go shark cage diving from a very famous doctor on a Nova episode back in the 80s. It was called Jaws, the True Story. The doctor's name was Dr. John McCosker. And I was able to finally get in touch with him as an adult. And we had a little bit of a back and forth correspondence. And he said, anytime you want to come out to the Farallons off the coast of San Francisco and do your first dive, love to have you. So I'm like, let's make that happen. So I did. And then it went from there to Seal Island off the coast of Cape Town, South Africa. Let's see, where else? Gold Coast, South Australia. Isla Guadalupe off the coast of Baja, California, which unfortunately has been closed down now because there have been too many people that have been messing with the sharks. And great white sharks are on the endangered species. They are federally protected. So of course somebody's going to ruin it for the rest of us. And unfortunately, you can't go to Isla Guadalupe to view sharks like you could anymore.
When you do the fights, do you get to do anything fun, or like when you show up, it's work, 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 and you don't like it, it's not necessarily you go to the aquarium or go out to eat?
One thing I am having so much fun with this. You better keep those questions going and not cut me off anytime soon because I'm having too much damn fun here tonight. Um, you know, if I get the chance when I'm traveling, a lot of people think it's so cool that you get to travel the world. I'm like, yeah, I see a lot of airports and a lot of hotels and a whole lot of arenas. But it's not every time that I get the opportunity to have the extra day to go do a little, foreigner sightseeing. But whatever's available. I love having dinner and lunches and time with my BKFC squad. Sean Wheelock is one of my best friends in the game. Chris Lytle has become such an amazing friend. Cyrus has got that competitive pickleball edge and that wrestling background. He's actually molding his children to be true wrestling marks, and he's going to be very successful on that. So I love spending time around my BKFC family. So whatever we get a chance to do, I always want a chance to do.
Are you a foodie?
That would mean yes. Hell yes, hell yes. You don't sit back and get this double chin just by doing pull-ups. Come on now.
Right.
No. You have to look a certain way once you're inside the squared circle. It's a very image-conscious profession, so I understand that. I mean, I know I look like hammered crap right now, but got to tone it up, shave this, and get the eyebrows, at least the same length once or twice. But yeah, let's see. Biggest sushi snob you ever met? Definitely ask anyone in BKFC about Jeff Houston and the word sushi. You will hear fireworks in your ears because I'm the quintessential sushi snob, man.
There is a fantastic looking sushi place out there in Philadelphia, and I forgot that you were the sushi snob. I'll have to send it to you on Instagram. I don't follow
If
a
you're
lot
not
of
making bread there, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah. I will say this: my wife had a cancer issue, so we are so strapped for money, for bills and stuff like that. Like I definitely want to go, but it's one of those
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But I would love to.
I know you would, but what you were talking about, man, if that doesn't come first, then I don't know what does.
I love sushi. Are you an adventurous eater outside of sushi? Like, do you like the crazy stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I will forego the worry about getting sick on the road when it comes to food because no matter what my situation, I'm still going to work. Okay. I'm still going to work. If I get food poisoning over there, I'm going to work and I'm going to throw up in the bathroom in between fights. But I'm still going to work and I'm still going to make it look like $1,000,000 because that's what I'm paid to do. That's what I do best. So I definitely love adventurous eating. Absolutely. As long as there is no cheese involved on it. I'm not the biggest cheese fan, and that is a hot button. In fact, that probably made me just a very polarizing person just saying that right now.
Since I live up in Wisconsin now currently, in which the cheese capital, yeah, exactly.
See, I've already got a whole damn city hating me after I just said that.
So I went to China to film a TV show catching crocodiles over there. And they said, "Oh, well, we will provide you with American meals." And I said, "I didn't go to China to eat a hamburger." So I was eating duck tongue and turtle, everything that I could. I wanted to sample their cuisine. What is the most crazy thing that you've eaten, do you think?
Well, I think it'd definitely have to be China. It'd have to be when I was introduced. It was my first time working with it was either my first or my second show. I think it was actually my third show. Excuse me, my third show with Road FC, and they were debuting in Shanghai. They were debuting in Shanghai, and our PR director at the time, which was one of the only other people in the company who spoke perfect English, was arranging stuff, and we got invited to go out to a traditional Chinese dinner. Now, I try to be as open-minded as the next person, but when I think about Chinese food in comparison to what I've had, I'm going to think Chinese American.
Sure.
because that's just where I'm thinking, unless I do my due diligence on Google or somewhere else or whatever. Um, when I got there and the stuff that they put down in front of me, I'm trying to, my American senses are tingling, wanting to say, what are you thinking? But I keep them at bay because when you're in a different culture, it's just going to be different. It's just going to be different. So try it. And I tried everything. What I connected with that I didn't think that I would was the fried jellyfish appetizers.
Hmm.
When I was told that, it was one of those situations. If I had not known about that, I still would have loved it. I still would have loved it. So it's one of those weird things that I came across. And then there was this dish that was it was a pork dish, and it was about maybe about this much pork and that much fat on the top, gelatinous fat, and you had to eat down through the gelatinous fat to get that very delicious pork that there. But by the time you get there, you're just like, why bother? Oh my God, I ate all that fat just to get to this little prize right here. I'm like, if it were like that much, I'd understand, but like this much, it's not worth the journey.
Circling back, you listed off your three favorite fighters. Do you have a favorite card though, like Spain, or like do you have a favorite one of those that you announced?
BKFC 1. BKFC 1 is very, very difficult for me to top personally because BKFC moving forward, we're already welcoming new generations of fighters already.
Sure.
We'll be celebrating 7 years on June the 2nd, in June. So it's interesting how it's evolved. And when we started off, everybody, with the exception of a few people, maybe David Feldman and maybe a couple of others that understood bare knuckle fighting a little bit more, everybody was in the same boat. Nobody knew what to expect. I mean, tamest weigh-in show I've ever been a part of, because nobody knew what we're getting ourselves into, except for Tommy Gunn. Tommy was the only one on the card. Well, Underground King at the time, his claimed record was undefeated at 75-0. So I figured, you know what? Here's somebody who gets it too. But he was cool and fine as well. And the overall mystique from the audience was also wild because, people are a little bit more used to it now. But when we first started, there were just so many people that were saying, this isn't going to work, or this is too violent, or you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch it through the weeds. I'm going to be one of those who takes a cautious approach to it. Watch it through the weeds. It actually coming good. Oh, wow, it's cool. Oh, never mind the grass. Let me get down there. Everything. That's a lot of people looked at it that way. So with all of that happening, it created a memory that I will never forget. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to top it, but all the events moving forward, it's like watching your kids grow up. It's like by the time that we got to BKFC Spain, it's just like, he's ready for prom. Oh, that's because that's what it felt like about that time, with all that time that had come through. And then you see BKFC have such a successful international presence with our debut in Spain and our debut on DAZN.
Sure. What's it like being able to finally take BKFC? Like, you went to Georgia for the first time. There's several other states that have recently opened. Tennessee was announced. What's it
Yep.
like when you're able to take the product to people who've never seen it, never gotten the chance to travel and see it live before?
It's the greatest feeling. It's one of the greatest feelings. To me, it ranks up there with an amazing fight between two warriors, because we have so many fans now, and our outreach is so good that when we go to a new state, oh, it's like a big warm hug for us. It's like saying, "You're here. We've been waiting for you," and such. And for those who anybody says, "Oh, where have you been, under a rock?" Trust me, there's enough options right now to where you could have never heard about bare knuckle because maybe you're not a fight fan. So you get those who are saying, "There's bare knuckle legal now?" Whoa! But then again, do we have mainstream reach? Yes. Do we have every person in the freaking world reach? No.
Sure.
No, no. So you're going to still have people that can't believe that this exists, but that primal instinct inside their head, even the ones who claim uh, high intelligence. I went to this school. I worked here. I did this. These are still the same people who slow down at the scene of an accident on a highway, hoping that they will gather a little glimpse of carnage. Trust me, that primal instinct is in everybody. A lot of people these days are very good at oppressing it, but it's there.
The thing that I love about BKFC, like my graphics guy, he's a tattoo artist. One of the other members of the Reddit, he's a emergency room doctor, and they love it. You know what I mean? You have these people that are like you just said, like, oh, I'm a super smart guy, doctor. I tattoo people. You got high school kids. Everybody loves it. It
Mhm.
speaks to them, and it's so simple and so like you said, beautiful and violent, and everything about it is just so. It's like the perfect combination of epicness all thrown into one.
Those 5 little words that I told you about before.
Yes.
Perfect way to describe bare knuckle. And we bridge the generational gap on top of that. We've got the kids that, the way that I look at it, kids are going to be introduced to violence in their lives.
Sure.
It's a fact of life. It's going to happen. Have it happen in an organized, professional way so that you get the opportunity to tell your kids that this is what trained professionals sign up for and enjoy. That's the kind of violence that I don't have an issue with, because the fact that it is consensual
Sure.
between both of them, and when you get a Rocky Balboa moment, caution is thrown to the wind. It's one of the most. It's beautiful. See that glowing that's constantly going behind. That is the aura. What happens inside of there? And a second ago it was yellow, so it was very, very appropriate for BKFC. Black and yellow, black and yellow. But but I think that that's what it is. I think the way that it's structured, the rules set, the time limit, the encouraging fighting in the clinch, the encouraging of that, and starting off 3 feet away from your opponent, toe the line, knuckle up. What's not to love? It's got the ingredients of the most delicious fight cake you've ever bitten into. It does. You can't argue that.
You have a wonderful wife. Does she enjoy going to the fights too? Does she not?
I do have a wonderful wife. I am very, very blessed. I have a wonderful wife. And one of the reasons she's so wonderful is because she's my polar opposite.
Okay.
She and we have very little in common. I mean, but we've been married 16 years,
Sure.
and we've been together 17. So obviously something's working. What is it? It's kind of hard to tell at this stage. I just I let it go because it feels it feels like it did, but it doesn't look the way it did and everything. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm talking about physically, and I'm not talking physically. I'm talking more metaphysically. How it is on the inside with the general progression of marriage, which I think a lot of young kids take for granted, because they figure that when stuff like this happens, when things like this happen and the marriage changes, the dynamics of it change. Oh, we're losing our spark. Oh, it's not there anymore. Oh, I want to reach back and be the way that I was. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Trying to grab what was there is just going to make you work harder. And it's so unnecessary. Be the people that you are now and learn to accept the change in your marriage. And I guarantee you things, bluer skies, daffodils, sunflowers, at least in whatever your perspective that would be. But but I love her, and she doesn't go to a lot of the shows. She did at the beginning, but she's kind of paid her dues on that. She will be accompanying me to the BKFC Italy show.
Of
Italy
course.
show. She's definitely going to want to do that. I mean, it's Florence. I mean, come on, it's going to be amazing. But she loves the fights. But the real reason that she wants to go is that she wants to eat pasta and drink wine. Very, 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 very simple on that. Plus, we're going to stay a couple extra days, and I'm going to take her to London the next day. My wife is the biggest Queen band fan you've ever seen in your life, so I'm taking her to go see Freddie Mercury's house.
Awesome.
A couple of days after that, so she's going to enjoy that, and she does like coming to certain shows, but she's definitely more of a homebody. She likes staying home, making sure the fire's lit, making sure that the pug is fed, and making sure that the kitchen is clean. I never tell her that she has to clean the kitchen, but she wants to do it anyway. Crazy, right?
Right.
God, I am blessed.
April for BKFC is going to be insane. You got Dubai, you got Rome, or not Rome, you got Florence. Like Italy's going to be. I can't. You don't want to hurry up because you got the big Knucklemania stuff coming. But I'm ready for April already, if I'm honest.
Oh no, I think everybody with BKFC is ready. You should see the just, oh my goodness, the passions of the fighters that say we want involved. We want to go over there and represent BKFC. We want to go to these amazing places. I haven't been to Florence, but I have been to Dubai several times, and I just think it's a perfect venue for BKFC. I think Dubai is such an incredible city because it was literally built out of a desert into an oasis, a true technological wonder of an oasis. Dubai is just a wild place to visit. You got to go at least once in your life to experience something. Now, some people may find it over the top, but some people might find it just right. Everything is subjective, right? So the way that I look at it is don't worry about judging it until you go and experience the awesomeness that is Dubai. It's so cool. And then we got Florence. I mean, at the amphitheater, we're practically doing a bare knuckle event in the Coliseum.
Right.
I mean, another historical place that I could think of, there's a couple of other places that I'd like to do it. One of them could happen. The other one will not. It's just too much of a logistic nightmare. The first place I'd like it to be is at the Acropolis in Greece. That would be that would be such a cool place. Actually, I have a second place. Machu Picchu in Peru, because I'd love to see if Luis Palomino could make something like that historically significantly happen. That would be cool. And then the other place that I would want to go, but this one would be tough. It'd be over by the hot gates where the Battle of Thermopylae took place in the Battle of 300.
Sure.
You want to talk about hallowed ground. Woo! That's the one that I think is probably logistically never going to happen because the logistics behind it, they'd just be a nightmare to get there.
Do you enjoy? I mean, like you had Spain, it was outdoor and big, but there's also something to be said about those smaller, like some of the prospect shows where it's like, you're jammed in tight, everything's loud. Do you have a preference over that?
Well, what we did with BKFC Spain was really great because it was a bullfighting arena.
Sure.
But then again, I don't know if it was a decommissioned bullfighting arena because I know that bullfighting is starting to be removed from the culture in Spain.
Right.
I guess it's just, I guess our petite snowflakes get hurt a little sometimes when they're seeing something traditional. So, whatever. But the way that I look at it as far as that goes is it really doesn't matter to me as long as the crowd is there, as long as the audience is invested. I mean, I love doing small arenas. I love doing big arenas. I like doing events in baseball stadiums. I love doing events in decommissioned bullfighting arenas. I don't care where the fight is. I just care that the crowd is involved and connected. That's what I want. I've been in some big arenas and the crowd was not there. They were not connected into it. They did not invest their time and emotion into it. And that kills me because if you're a ticket holder at a fight card, the whole purpose of going there in the first place is to live vicariously through these warriors, what they're doing. So if that connection is not there, I don't care what kind of a venue that I'm at. I could be at Wembley Stadium, and if there's no connection there, I wouldn't remember Wembley Stadium.
Sure.
I remember the crowds more than I remember the arenas themselves.
Can you tell us how Dave Feldman found you for BKFC 1?
Biggest hookup of my professional career from my brother from another mother like no other, Mr. Sean Wheelock.
Oh, wow.
Sean and I had worked together many years before that. We'd been working in boxing pretty consistently with Roy Jones Jr. boxing promotions back in the day. And we were talking one day and he said, I've got this new thing coming up, bare knuckle fighting championship. What would you think about, something like that? I'm like, I said, I had heard crosstalk about it, but I hadn't heard of any kind of finished or projected event. Then he tells me about it and he's like, would you like me to, get the ball rolling as far as referral? I said, of course. I said, number one, Sean, I love working with you. Sean, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, lead play-by-play commentator in combat sports, bar none, bar none. Just that the guy is. He is a man from a different era that is so well appreciated in our time. And what I mean by our era is that he is a naturally nice person, a genuinely nice, compassionate, cares about others individual. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of his, not only on the headsets, but also as a friend himself. It really is. And I got talking with Dave. Dave, decided to give me the go ahead. And, we've done it ever since. Dave and I don't talk too much, but that's okay. You don't really have to talk to your boss in order. How the old saying is that if your boss is not talking to you, you're doing a good job. So I get to corner him every now and then, and we get to have a word or two because, there are times that, he'll talk to me and there are other times that I'm the least I'm not a priority in any way. I don't think I should be a priority to begin with, but when it comes to a conversation, I like to have a conversation. As you can see, I'm a monologuer and I talk more than anyone combined. But let me go ahead and tell you guys out there about this. You get mad at a ring announcer for talking too much. It's like getting mad at a waterfall for having water.
You've also hosted your own podcast. You are a fantastic guest. You do talk. You and I feel like there's been plenty of guests where I'm having to drag stuff out of them. Can you tell us what it takes to be a good guest for a podcast?
It's natural for me. But when it comes to other guests that are not so loquacious, that are not, see, you also have to be really comfortable on camera.
Sure.
I don't think about it. It's not in my thought process, at least at the temporal lobes of my brain. The way that my brain works is that I don't care if there's a camera or not. I'm talking to somebody. That's just going to get done. It's
Sure.
going to get done. But with fighters, sometimes, public speaking is actually a primal fear. It is a legitimate primal fear that a lot of people said, what is more scary, death or public speaking? At sometimes people will say that public speaking is more fearful than death, which means that if you died, you'd be more comfortable in the coffin than giving the eulogy.
Sure.
How messed up is that? So not everybody can do it, but to the fighters and to people and to those who are looking for good ways, I always recommend going on YouTube and checking out courses like videos on media training. I think media training is very, very important because there's a lot of good, I guess you could say, opinions out there on exactly how you're supposed to act in front of a camera and what you're supposed to say. And the thing about it is that I know what to say, but I take the scenic route to get there. And this generation doesn't necessarily like the scenic route. Sure. They like you getting to the point right there and then. I wish I could, but I don't work that way. I like telling stories.
The one fighter that I've seen the evolution, Dave Mundell. When I first started talking to Dave Mundell, it was pulling teeth, and now he's worked on it so much, and he tells stories now, and he's so much more fun to interview. And like I said, I think that's great, and I think now you're seeing he's been given bigger opportunities with the Spain and the.
It's evolution, is what it is.
Sure.
Certain fighters will evolve. Certain fighters will have a job. It's just the way of the world. Not every fighter we have will evolve. There are those who are going to have a job, but they're still going to do a fantastic job for us. I wish they could all do. I mean, they're doing a hell of a lot more fantastic than any kind of job that I am. I'm out there sitting on my biscuit, not having to risk it, and they're in there going for broke.
Sure.
So, but we also know that there's plateaus to this. There's plateaus when it comes to fighting, and that's just a fact of life. So for those who evolve, I definitely believe that there is an evolution. The more you do it, the more you're going to feel comfortable with something. And just like anything, it's going to become habit forming. It's going to become very habit forming. And what's the old saying? It takes like 2 weeks to do something consistently in order to form a habit, I think at the minimum. So it's all about building a habit, but it's also using those free tools that are available to you. I mean, guys, don't worry so much about doing acting classes and stuff like that. There are so many free opportunities on places like YouTube and stuff like that that have coaches that love parting with good information and good tutelage just because that they want an audience, even though that's on YouTube. I love that. Kudos to people who provide that and, aren't completely driven into the, I guess you could say the, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and keep it there. Thank you to them.
Okay. My last question I always ask people the very first time we interview, have you ever been in a street fight back in elementary school? Did you ever get in any fights?
Of course. You can't be a chatterbox like this and not have somebody try to put a fist in your, in your suck hole. So of course that's going to happen. Of course, I've gotten knocked on my butt. I've knocked a few on my butt on myself, but I've never been the kind of person who goes out and looks for it. You can see the street fight aptitude in our fighters. And I always think that the ones that had to be street fighters, not necessarily ones that wanted to be,
sure,
but it was just the situation that they were in, and it was do or die, win or cry, whatever. Those are the ones that can take the noise a little bit more inside the squared circle. Those are the ones who I believe have a little bit. And then you've got interesting phenomenons like Kai Stewart. I don't know his complete backstory about street fights or such, but what I do know is I see one hell of a tough world-class athlete that has gravitated toward bare knuckle and made it his own. And that's exactly what I want to see. I love that. I love when you see somebody that I guess maybe a little too clean cut for certain people, and they'd be like, you know what? He looks good, but the minute they get him in there with somebody who looks like Yuli Diaz or whatever, I'm not saying anything bad about Yuli Diaz, but he does have the quintessential Miami 305 look, and I love that. I always have. I'm a huge Yuli Diaz fan. They'll figure that the Yuli Diaz will just walk over them. And the funny thing is that that's not the case here in BKFC, because it's not the case one way in BKFC. I have gotten surprised with athletes more in BKFC than any other promotion in any other sport that I've been a part of. You see the most incredible surprises in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. One punch does change your life. Here it does. It's not so profound in others, because look at the ones with just one punch or a good fight against somebody who was just the absolute total, odds-on favorite. That happens a lot with us. Careers are built, and what I want to see next, we have the BKFC fighters. I am waiting for BKFC's first true superstar. And I think that a lot of people are as well, because, funny thing about it is one of the original superstars was Conor McGregor.
Sure.
Conor McGregor ended up becoming just an icon. I mean, not just in fighting, but, he spread his awareness just everywhere. And he's just so invested in what he does, and there's passion there. And I love being around it. I love being around Conor because his passion is infectious. I mean, it is. When you're around the man, you feel successful, not because you're around a successful person, but you feel successful with that energy that is transferred. I don't even know if he knows if he's transferring or not, but there's positive energy that brims off of that man. And I love being a part of it. I love that he's involved with BKFC, and I love how passionate. I mean, if you look at Conor McGregor, I mean, he started off with us Knucklemania of last year.
Sure.
Between Knucklemania 4 and I'd probably say right before we got to BKFC Spain, I had never seen somebody come in and in just 6 months time, has absolutely told and shouted to the world the praises of BKFC like no one else. He has been out there and he is a supporter. He loves this. I mean, he genuinely loves BKFC. What's not to like about that?
Sure.
What's not to like about that? I mean, it doesn't, I mean, whatever a person does is whatever a person does. But the one thing that I will say about Connor is that he loves BKFC and it shows. Now, that's the kind of people that I want to be around when I'm with a promotion. Somebody who loves this sport and wants to see its advancement the way that we want to see its advancement, the way that it's going. It's a rocket ship. It just is. Elon Musk would love to have built a rocket ship like this.
Dave seems to be very similar in like, if you love BKFC, he loves to hear it. If you don't like something about BKFC, he loves to hear it because he's always constantly like evolving. Like you said, it's a whole evolve thing. And to see what BKFC, when I first started watching BKFC 2 compared to what it is now, it just has gotten better and better. And that's what I take away from it.
We're constantly finding ways to make it better. And the biggest contributions, in my opinion, one of the biggest, I can't go ahead and say one aspect of it has completely, been the, I guess you could say, the prime mover of BKFC. But the one thing that I can say is that the production level has just absolutely phenomenally skyrocketed. And that's because we got our boy Jonathan Evans, our director. And he is just, man, he's fun to deal. He is very, very fun to deal with because he's got nothing but personality. And when you've got nothing but personality, man, you are fast. You are fast on the draw. And I like people who are fast on the draw. And I just think it's that sense of quickness that he has that really has helped us grow as a production. And everybody involved on our production level, they love BKFC. This is not a job to them. This is a way of life. What we are doing, what we do, everybody's a spoke on the wheel. Everybody is a spoke on the wheel. I don't take attention from the fighters and put it on myself. I don't sell the steak, as Kramer said. I sell the sizzle.
Well, that's all I have for the Reddit. Is there any parting words that you would love to get out there to fans and those of us at the Reddit?
First of all, I want to thank you very much for bringing me on. This has been so much fun. I've been looking forward to this all week because I knew you were going to, get in there. I mean, this wasn't going to be a toothbrush interview. No. You were going to go ahead and get the water pick in there. You're going to get the water pick and you're going to say, I'm going to get the little food that's been sticking around your teeth, metaphorically speaking, for like the last 6 months, and we're going to get it out. That's a really weird analogy, but that's just who I am. But thank you. Guys, just continue to support BKFC. That's the best thing that we can ask you to. I mean, if you truly love it, then support it. Support it in any way that you possibly can. And, another thing I want to talk to about before I go is that, we've been getting a lot of feedback about our premiere move to DAZN. And we have gotten people that have been, I guess you could say somewhat upset because certain events are no longer on the BKFC app. The BKFC app, it's not, under one umbrella the way it used to is. I am here to tell you that is the natural progression and of any combat sports organization. This is how it works. It works out a little bit different now because of the fact that we're working on an app. Back in the day, you were, either on pay-per-view or you had a dedicated cable station. Sure. Now it's all about streaming services. That's just all about streaming services. There are still cable opportunities and digital opportunity. There are still digital opportunities. There's no more cable anymore because unfortunately that antenna is no longer working, unless you've got like some kind of obscure 1950s super zenith. Then maybe you could probably pick up submarine sonar with that, no problem there. But with everything that's going on with this shift from digital television to streaming services, eventually I think the end goal will be a main provider on that. But the fact that we're working with DAZN, I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier about our premier events having a platform like DAZN. I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I say to you guys out there, this is how a business is supposed to progress, and the premium events have to get a different eye on them. And I think DAZN is the wonderful place for that to happen. But we are still giving we're still giving events. We've still got plenty of events that are shown on the BKFC app. So I say to the true BKFC fans, support us and we will keep giving you what you want. We'll keep giving you these amazing fights, these amazing shows. We will give 100%. I will give you 100% of my life. I do give you 100% of my life. This is not a job for me. This is like breathing. I'm going to tell you, I'm about ready to lean forward and have that Triple H, I am the game speech. There is nobody that eats, sleeps, and breathes this business more than me. And it's because of my love for the sport. It's my undying love. It may sound like I'm like laying it on really thick right now, but I'm just very passionate about the sport. I'm, and I got to be part of its inception in the United States. I was the first ever ring announcer to announce a legally sanctioned bare knuckle fighting event, and no one will be able to take that away from me. So why wouldn't I want to see the best for the sport and for this organization?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, sir. I look forward. We should talk again because you are so easy to talk to, and I admire your passion. You're just everything about you I love.
I appreciate that, and I feel a little something here. We might want to talk, possibly podcast or something like that, because for me, it's all about chemistry. It's all about chemistry. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't have chemistry with the individuals that I was working with before. Whatever the reasons are that I'm currently not working with them, there's probably plenty of them, but it's not always that. But it's when you get the opportunity to just kind of sit back, but not too much, because the media training says sit at least 15 degrees ahead when you're talking, so that double chin doesn't pop up, and people don't like to see that as much. So I'm doing my best as far as my YouTube media training. But just support BKFC. Help us continue the growth. We cannot do this without you guys. We cannot do this without you. It's not one of those things that we do in spite of anybody else. We do it for you guys. We do it for the fans. We do it for the continuation of, in my opinion, the greatest combat sport on planet Earth today. And this cannot happen without the lifeblood of BKFC, which is the BKFC fight fans. So thank you to that. And I really appreciate the line of questions that you guys had out there on Reddit. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you as well, because this was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll do it again. Thanks so much. And go eat something fun. Go eat some good sushi or something.
Oh, no. I've already, my fast starts as of right now. I may be a foodie, but I have to be a responsible one, because, I know what my custom measurements are on my suit right now. I don't want to press against that.
Awesome. Well, have a great night, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.